Someone says, what's the future? Vaughn Coleman.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another episode of Vaughn Coleman Presents, our 80th episode. I am, of course, your host, Vaughn Coleman. Before we get started, let me go ahead and play my, before we get started, I want to show off my campaign. So I have three of them. It's, of course, the same book, Phenomenova issue 1, but let's go ahead and show off the Indiegogo campaign, which is close to hitting $1,000 raised. Of course, we have less than $200 away from getting this beautiful mini print. Everyone, and this is key, regardless of what platform you back on, everyone will be able to get this exclusive free mini print if we hit an accumulative $15,000 raise. And also, I added another goal yesterday. So we had our Phenomenova fan art contest winner, Brett Barkley, will have his piece in the book. And if we get 300 backers across all the campaigns, that means he will get to draw our title villain, Dark Cloud. But what's the book about? Well, for those of you that don't know, that haven't read anything on Phenomenova, I'm glad to tell you about it. Phenomenova is a superhero story set 20 years after World War III. It follows the idealistic son of a war hero who strikes out on his own to become a superhero. So if that sounds interesting to you, definitely make sure that you back the book and check it out because it is almost done. It is so close to being done. So if you want it, make sure you get it because now is the time. But enough about me. All right, you hear about me all the time. Let's bring in my guest. Please welcome Jason Sandberg. How's it going, Jason?
It's going good. I'm honored to be on an anniversary show, number 80. That's quite impressive. Yeah,
definitely pre-planned. It's just like, oh, that's the next number.
Is this one going to have like a bigger, like a double cover price since it's an anniversary?
Issue? I could make up. Yeah, if I could charge people to watch my shows, I would. If people would pay to watch my content, that would be great.
That's the next step for you. The next step is that
paid interviews.
Paywall.
You could pay for my comic actually instead. The interviews on the house.
I did back when you were on the Friday nights, and I'm definitely looking forward to that print. I remember when you dropped that on Twitter, and that was just one of those like. You get whiplash looking at it. It's just great image.
Yeah. I remember when I got that, I think it was like Kelsey Shannon tweeted like, is anyone paying attention to what Vaughn's doing? Like, this is crazy. It was definitely one of those things. I got it from my artist. I was like, holy crap. Like, that was amazing. And I think I remember seeing your book a while ago. I want to get into yours, but before we do, I always like to get to kind of know the creators. First of all, Friday Nights, one of the best shows. Tell everyone where they could find Friday Nights, because I had the pleasure of being on your show.
Yeah, so the Friday is this coming Friday is our 1-year anniversary show.
Wow!
So it's myself, Mad Ruth, Chris Faction, and Chris Faction. He is stepping away from. He's going on hiatus from the show, showing up for an hour once a week, taking a gummy, getting high, making jokes was too much work for him. So he's gonna take it back into a lower gear and kind of focus on his family and things like that. Eventually, he may come back. But on the Friday nights, we pick 3 overlooked topics from the week, and we do a deep dive, mix it up, bust each other's chops, crack jokes about the 3 topics, news stories that kind of flew under the radar. And then we will have a creator on, and then we'll get to know the creator, see how the creator is able to ad lib and joke on the 3 topics. You did a fantastic job, by the way.
Thank you.
When you were on.
They were good. They were good topics. It was really easy to work with, honestly.
So on the show, we'll have as we look at the 3 news topics, we'll kind of do some dad jokes. We'll do some off-color jokes, things like that. So it's a good way for viewers to get to know the creator, because you get to see how their mind works, what the reaction time is, what makes them crack up and things like that. And then I think once you get to know the creator, then when we get to the second part of the show, when we look at their campaign, you're more invested in the person. I think it helps build a connection with the viewers. And typically on our show, it's a small show. We usually have about 60, 70 people watching live. But every show, there's typically 2 to 4 people that back, sometimes 5 people that back. And I think it's a testament to the audience that we're cultivating and the connection that we're developing and the trust we're building with our audience. So for those of you that like shows like Vaughn, where you look at projects, talk to creators, check out the Friday nights every night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central on Mad Ruth channel.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great show. It's very comic focused. Well, having some fun too. One of the things I liked about it was the news topics was something that I hadn't seen. Like they do a way of making you, because I go on shows and look, I could do 1,000 interviews and I'm doing that. But I like that you guys go out of your way to do something unique. And it's a memorable show, you know, in a sea of so many other shows. It is a very memorable show. So everyone make sure you check that out. And so I want to talk about next, you know, getting into our interview. I want to talk about, you know, before we even get into your project specifically, how did you get into writing in comic books and in comic book creation?
So I'm a bit older than you are, young man. In 1977, my grandmother took me to it was either Ben Franklin's or it was a drugstore on a Saturday night to pick up the Sunday paper, which I thought was like a magic trick. Like, Grandma, how are we getting the Sunday paper on a Saturday night? But she took me to the drugstore right before it closed, picked up the Sunday paper, which was a magic trick. And she said, go pick out a comic book. So I went to the spinner rack, and I know that I knew who Superman was. I knew who Spider-Man was. So I took a spin and I pulled off Captain America 214, which I had no idea was Jack Kirby's last Captain America. And it just popped off the page at me, just popped. And I fell in love at that moment with the magic trick, the optical illusion of two-dimensional art creating energy.
Wow, yeah,
creating movement, and that's where I got. I think that's where I developed a love of drawing in general, comics in particular. So I became a voracious reader, and all my lunch money, my allowance, all went into comic books. Flash forward to 1983, the first indie comic book that I recall buying was Nexus #2 by Mike Baron and Steve Rude.
Oh, okay.
And so I am one of those people who's extremely happy that Mike Baron is back at it with Nexus.
I read that the other day.
It's great. It's great. It's great.
It's really fun. I didn't expect it to be, because I'm not that familiar with Nexus. I've read Nexus: The Origin. Mm-hmm. That's about it. I didn't expect it to be so funny.
Yeah, Mike is. There's always been a bit of wry humor and little kind of character moments in Nexus, little things happening in the background. But I think Mike Baron is getting to that age where he doesn't care what you think, so he's more likely to explore facets of his personality that maybe he didn't before. Mm-hmm. But I highly recommend. There's over 100 issues of Nexus.
Right.
Treasure. So in some of it you can find in the dollar bins and things like that. I highly recommend you just go on a treasure hunt in the next year or two, pick up every back issue of Nexus you can, read it from start to finish. If you want to, you can get the Dark Horse collections. You can get them on Comixology as well. But I highly recommend Nexus. But that was my entry point into indie comics. And from there, the following decades, I had a foot in the kind of like the Marvel universe, and I had a foot in the indie. So Dreadstar, Nexus, Zot, all of the great 1980s, 1990s, Love and Rockets, all those indie books. I had a foot in both worlds, and I think it served me well, because when the big two were running on fumes, something fantastic was happening in the indie space. When the indie space was going in a downward spiral, something interesting would be happening on the in the mainstream world. So if on the bookshelf behind me, you can see there's John Buscema Conan,
right.
There's Roger Stern Spider-Man, and then there's all kinds of great indie books as well.
Right. That's awesome. So that you got a very varied, because I've been reading mostly Marvel, DC, and then there would be some series that pick off the shelf. But in all honesty, a lot of the indie stuff that I pick up off the shelf didn't really stick with me. But, maybe I wasn't reading the right stuff. And it sounds like Nexus, I've heard nothing but great things about, not just because I know Mike, just in general from comic book fans, and it's one I've always wanted to check out. And I like Mike's Punisher stuff too.
Oh yeah, that was good. That was a big deal. I remember when when the Punisher miniseries came out, it was a big deal. And then when his run with Klaus Janson started, that was a huge thing. Everybody had that. So when you get through Nexus and you're looking for something else on the old school indie recommendations, hit me up. I'll give you some. I'll tell you what to do after Nexus.
After Nexus, I know. Yeah, I want to definitely check out Nexus. Mike said like he knows where to get some Nexus. He told me so. Okay. I'll make sure to do that. But your favorite comics, your favorite writers were who?
So favorite writers on the mainstream side, probably Roger Stern and Bill Mantlo. Okay. They were fantastic in the Bronze Age. There was a high wire act of doing 1 and 2 issue story arcs, and those two writers for the mainstream were fantastic. They could weave subplots, but they could do fantastic one and dones, standalones, 2 issue arcs, just fantastic stuff, which is something that is went by the wayside as you got into the 90s, got into the 2000s. That 1 or 2 issue story arc fell by the wayside. You got into writing for the trade and things like that. Right. And then on the indie side, obviously you got Mike Barron, you've got Dave Sim, you've got Scott McCloud, Jim Starlin, his Dreadstar. Those are just fantastic writers.
Dreadstar's back now, right?
It is back, yeah. Now Jim Starlin does have extreme Trump derangement syndrome, so you have to have a pre-existing relationship with Jim Starlin in order to read Dreadstar. So those of you that are maybe younger, you may have to take that into account when you engage with Dreadstar. But the first 30 issues of Dreadstar are fantastic. If HBO had any brains, they would adapt the first 30 issues of Dreadstar as like they did for Game of Thrones. It's that good. And you can hunt those down. Those should be pretty affordable as well if you go on eBay or look in the back issue bins. And then Jim Starlin is doing crowdfunded OGNs for Dreadstar. I just got the second one. Now in this one, he doesn't kill Trump in this one, but he does kill Mitch McConnell. So
what? I didn't know that.
Yes.
Man,
he has serious Trump derangement syndrome. But I can look past it. I can be like, Jim, you just gotta lance the boil. But you're giving me more Dreadstar, so I can't be too mad.
That's good. Well, so there we go. So you got your influences, and now what made you decide you wanted to take on and start reading comics?
So I actually had Jupiter in the late 90s as a indie black and white title. And it ran 9 issues. It was distributed through Diamond, and it was one of those titles that was critically acclaimed but poorly marketed. Okay. And so basically Diamond came to me after issue 9 and said, "Well, we like the book, and the sales aren't going down, but they're not going up. You kind of stalled out." So they said, "Reboot it with a new number 1." And I said, "You know what? I'm not getting the right kind of signals from the market." So I failed to reach out and find the audience for what I was doing. The people that found it loved it, kept buying it. So I hit it. I was at a point in life where I'm like, okay, I need to get married, need to get a house, take care of the stuff you could only do in your 20s and 30s. I got to take care of that. So I did that. I put Jupiter on pause. And then, fast forward to about 4 or 5 years ago, and I see suddenly the flourishing of the crowdfunding market.
Right.
And I realized, hey, this is more direct than the direct market, because we're not going through the intermediate of Diamond. You're not putting your book in a 400-page catalog and hoping that a retailer finds it, and doing everything you can to try to get the retailer to take a chance on you. So that was a point at which I said, you know what? I still want to do this. I still love comics. So I began doing my research, and I started putting together what I wanted Jupiter, volume 2 to be. So behind me, this is Jupiter issue 1 of the new series. You do not have to have read Jupiter 1 in the 90s to enjoy this or understand this. There's some tangential background things that are similar, but this is a whole new book The one in the 90s was 20 pages every month, black and white. This one is 40 pages full color. And I'm serializing an ongoing story in like the first like 25 pages of every issue. And then the rest of it is shorter strips, one pagers, standalone stories and things like that. So Jupiter is like a one-man anthology. I call it the other kind of OMAC. You're familiar with Jack Kirby's OMAC.
Jack Kirby's OMAC. I know it, but I've never read it.
So
you ask me any specific questions, you will find me at a loss.
Jack Kirby's OMAC. It was his reboot of Captain America. It was One Man Army Corps. So Jupiter is a one man anthology comic. So it's the acronym OMAC stands for One Man Anthology Comic. So in Jupiter, you're going to get some gag strips. You're going to get some surrealism. You're going to get some kind of like horror stories, as well as this ongoing main story. This kind of is basically serializing what's going to become a graphic novel once I'm done with it. So Jupiter issue 1 is it's in demand on Indiegogo. I'm about halfway through issue 2, and what happened was I realized, hey, between I want to get Jupiter 2 done before I start the campaign, and Jupiter 1 was at it's at like $9,100 on an Indiegogo. So I said, you know what? Why don't I take this opportunity to find more readers for Jupiter issue 1 and get the book to that magical 5-figure milestone and get it to 10K.
Feels very good.
Yep, it gets just to be able to get that achievement unlocked, and then that way I'll have found more readers who will be interested in the story when I get to actually the campaign for issue 2. It's an election year, and things are so crazy right now. And also, some people are worried about buying eggs, right? Not they're some people don't even have time to worry about buying comic books. They're worried about buying eggs. So I figured, you know what? I'm not going to push. I'm not going to rush issue 2. I'll finish issue 2 this year, launch it after the beginning of the year. But let's try to get this first issue up to 10K.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it looks great. I know, man. The backer numbers have been selling like crazy. And I'm not sure if it's across the board. I'm not sure if it's the same with your case, but I think things have just been slowing down. I don't know if people are penny pinching or what it is, but $40 for 40 pages for $13 is such a good deal.
Just compared to a mainstream comic that's got ads and stuff like that and is on cheap paper. I think it's a great deal. And also if you're a backer in the United States, shipping's only $5. So
wow. How'd you get it to that price?
So I'm using stamps.com, and they give you the option to do ground advantage. So about a year ago, the post office, after about 20 years of dealing with Amazon, finally got their act together and created a retail. They created a new shipping method called ground advantage. So it's basically the speed is basically in most places across the country, it's 3 to 4 days for about the price of media mail. It's super competitive. And I do not know why the post office, I don't know why it took them 20 years to finally figure out, hey, there's people who have home businesses either selling things on eBay or so forth. Why don't we create something that's competitive with UPS? Because UPS, you can get parcel rates that are more competitive than the first class. So it's almost first class speed with ground pricing. So I'm able to ship most places in the United States for somewhere around $4. So I do $5 to cover myself, and that includes a Gemini mailer and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you get to do it so you ship it yourself then.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
For cheaper. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Maybe I'll have to stop being lazy and just ship myself.
Well, I use if I have international backers, I'll get with Critical Blast, and I'll have Critical Blast handle the logistics for international shipments. But yeah, in the United States, I would advise you to check out stamps.com.
Stamps.com. I'm gonna write that down. I think I've heard of it, but
And there, some of those other.
It's too late now. I'm already charging people $10 shipping, but I actually had someone on Kickstarter today say that the shipping was too much, and I'm like, well, look, it's going to be worth it, but I understand. They don't know that. I know my book's good, but they don't know that, and that's the tough part about selling, right? You've at least published work in the past.
And some of those other fulfillment services, they might be able to get you that ground advantage rate. So do some research. The key thing is you want to be able to ship stuff ground advantage.
Ground advantage, okay, because that was the term I don't even think I've.
Yep.
So ground advantage means it's like from you, right? Like
yeah. So ground advantage it's basically the way to look at it is it's pretty much marketing mail prices. And in most cases across the country, it will arrive there in 3 to 4 days. Versus if you say, hey, I want to send this first class, it's going to arrive there in 2 to 3 days, but it's going to cost $10, $10 or $15. So it's ground advantage. Check it out. You can I forget the names of the other. There's a couple other services you can use to get postage. Besides stamp.com, you can poke around and just basically the key thing is you want to look for ground advantage. And again, it was funny because it started in July of last year, just as I was getting ready to fulfill Jupiter. And in my day job, I sometimes deal with postage, direct mail, marketing mail, things like that. So I was aware of commingling, and I was aware of the price breaks and so forth like that for sortation. So when I was doing my research, I'm like, oh, this ground advantage thing looks like a great deal. And finally it's there as an option. So, check it out.
There's always something, like I think I'm finally learning the whole business, and then there's something else. Yeah, pirate ship I've been told about for international, especially. Yep. Okay.
I've heard good things about them. I think Critical Blast uses that service.
Pirate ship, yeah. Well, they're shipping through, so that's a them problem. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I wasn't able to get it to that price. But so you do everything for this book, right?
I do. The story's mine. I do the thumbnails, the pencils, the inks, the letters. Everything's me, including the typos. Just joking. There's no typos. But
that's what an editor is for.
I even do the animation for the little ads and the little advertisements and so forth. So a lot of fun.
So where did you learn to draw initially? Were you self-taught, or did you go to school for it?
So obviously that dose of Jack Kirby stuck with me, and I was just
really I couldn't notice.
I didn't notice. And that's also around the time, it was also summer of 1977, like Star Wars was out. So me and my cousins and all my friends were like drawing. We're trying to do our best to do like TIE fighters and X-wings and stuff like that. But I think every kid goes through that phase where they're just having a great time drawing. But I stuck with it. And then in school, I'd try to get as many art electives as I could. Studied a bit of it in college. Didn't major in it, but studied it, and it just stuck with me. And I enjoy being able to get into that kind of state of flow. I enjoy being able to zen out, and just whether it's drawing or coloring. I also like the challenge of looking at a blank page and figuring out how I'm going to break it apart and how I'm going to have the rhythm and the story. Yeah. And then also, because I think in my mind, the basic unit of comics is the page. Mm-hmm. And the challenge is, can you have a page with balance and with variety, but with flow and dynamism? And can you guide the eye? All those things that I think about that I think are important from a design element. It's the challenge of getting the panels in the correct spot, the correct angles, creating a sense of flow for the eye, but not monotony. Mm-hmm. And so I enjoy that. I enjoy that design challenge.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how much, especially I don't write, but like hearing artists, talk about all this stuff that I would just go, this page is cool. And now I look at it, I'm like, guiding the eye with, and you kind of realize that the letter, like even my letter I was talking to, he was telling me, I'm like, why did you put the balloon there? He's like, because I had to, and I'm like, oh, and so I have a question. When you're doing everything, because sometimes it is nice to leave it off to someone else, but other times you go crazy wanting to direct. So, because you do everything, Do you find that makes things go faster or slower for you?
I don't believe in stress, so I don't have I don't I, so I
Can
don't
I
have
learn your philosophy?
yeah, I don't believe in stress, so I don't give myself a deadline. So I never feel the need to rush. So as long as I'm constantly working, and as long as I'm jumping between laying out one page, doing tighter pencils on another page and coloring another page, and then going back to the other page, because I could never do a page from start to finish in one sitting or one day. It's important to I take my thumb. The way I write is I take 3x5 index cards and I treat each one like a panel. And I kind of write down, I do a thumbnail and I put them out on like a table and I rearrange them and I take stuff away and add stuff so that I've got the story. Because the most important thing is the story. And then I turn it into pages and page turns. And then I figure out what's the weight of the page and things like that. But then when I get to the point where I'm actually going into Adobe Illustrator, I'm creating the panels, and then I'm taking in my thumbnails, and then I'm beginning to do the drawings. I basically build the page up from those thumbnails. And so I'll do a page, move on to the next page so that I can go back a couple days later and look at it with fresh eyes. And I can be like, okay, this doesn't flow right. That head looks wonky. This is off balance. So I kind of keep sculpting the page, but then I will print out like I've got 2 pages from issue 2 here. I'll print them out. Yep. I'll print them out and I'll mark them up and things like that. And then I'll give them to somebody I trust. And the owner of my local LCS, his wife is brutal. She's just brutal. She's brutal. So I go, hey, give this to your wife and have her take a look at it, and she'll mark it up for me, and she's just freaking brutal. And then I'll go back and I'll be like,
everyone needs that kind of feedback, you know.
yeah,
I'll have
you do.
I send it because the joke is always, oh, you don't send it to your mom, whatever. But I showed my mom something thinking it was the final stage, and she was like, "This is my first post." She's like, "That doesn't make sense grammatically." I'm like, "Oh my god, I thought you were the last one. I thought it was that clear." You never know.
And it's tricky because if you're an artist, you're looking at it for like, hours. And sometimes like a head is wonky. Something's off balance that you don't see it because you're just staring at it too long.
Yeah.
And so you really do need someone else to take a look at it and be like, hey, you lost the symmetry in this face. Hey, I don't understand why this character is looking that way, and things like that. So I do get that kind of feedback. Even though I do everything myself, I do solicit that feedback. And then when I get to the point where things are lettered, things like that, I'll have a few other people who I trust read it and let me know if they caught anything.
That's good. That's really good. I always like hearing that kind of stuff. And so 40 pages. So we've talked about your craft. We've talked about this. I guess so. I know your favorite writers, but not your favorite artists. I have a feeling I know who one of them is. Just an idea.
Yeah, obviously I've got an affinity for Jack Kirby.
Mm-hmm.
Then I also like the Bronze Age artists like Sal Buscema and even Steve Rude would fit in that category. I enjoyed parts of the Image revolution, but I wasn't really an Image guy.
Yeah.
So because
you're a writer, right? It's my understanding. Because I've read a few of those issues. I know I think they're beautifully drawn, but I remember reading Spawn issue 1 and I was like, does anything happen?
I think he might still be in that alley, Vaughn. I gotta check. We gotta check on him.
Yeah, I was like, wait, I was waiting for something to happen. I read because there was like Image first, which I think is a great idea. And then I was like, wow, Spawn, I get to read. And I was like, okay. We got a newscast. Okay. I don't know what happened. Did he ever leave the alleyway?
I think he's still in the alley, man. I think he's still in the alley.
Issue 300.
Yeah. And there was that thing in Spawn with the countdown, and I'm like, what's this countdown for? And then I guess they abandoned the countdown. I'm like,
what do you mean they didn't finish the countdown?
No, I think there was like, I don't know if it was a Y2K rollover or what, but they got rid of that countdown. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Yeah. I'm not I think people are buying obviously there's some people who are really into Spawn, really love it, but I think some people are buying it because they've got the other 300 and they had to get, clearly
there must have been something that I was missing out on.
right?
Yeah, I'm sure it has its moments. I'm sure it has its moments.
Yeah, when he leaves the alley, or maybe
He
it's
leaves
just
the
the
alley.
whole in the alleyway. I don't know.
Well, there's a Friday Night's episode we really goofed on the fact that there was going to be 10 new Spawn titles.
What?
And yeah, there's so after his anniversary 300 issue, he started 4 new Spawn titles, and I think this year he started like another 10. So me and the guys, we really goofed on it. We had like we said, well, one title was gonna be Spawn Chain Gang, and and then one of the jokes was that there's premium Spawn, and it's just like it's the same as the other spawns, it just costs more. We just completely were goofing
Slightly
on
better printing.
yeah, we completely goofed on Todd on that one. But there's I know that there's an audience that does connect with it, but I think some of that's just inertia. I don't think anybody's actually waiting to see what's going to happen in the next issue of Spawn. But
Well, why would everyone wait? Let's tell everyone what Jupiter is about. Now that you've said this horrendous stuff about Mr. Todd McFarlane.
Yep, yeah, that's right. So
unprompted.
So one thing that one of the things that I think is a problem with mainstream comics is that there's literally too many superheroes. It is like take your superhero to work day. It's like whether it's X-Men, the Avengers, or whatever. And also, what happened with decompressed storytelling is most of the time they're just standing around. So I wanted to do something where there was only one in my main story. There's only one superhero. Nice. And I wanted to start building the world from square one, so that you didn't have to read 300 issues before to be able to understand what's going on. So that's the unique proposition of Jupiter, is that it's a new world. There's only going to be one superhero in the main story. Now there's going to be plenty of villains, but there's not going to be people standing around talking the way there is in mainstream comics. And especially when they do events, like they're doing this Absolute Power event, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. There's like 400 superheroes, and they're all talking about what they're going to do with Amanda Waller. I mean, this is crazy. So anyway, that's the unique pitch of Jupiter. Now, the background of the story is that this young lady, she's a teenager, and she and her parents are going to a cabin up north in Minnesota to kind of get away from a family tragedy. I do not tell you what that family tragedy is, but there's hints in this first issue about what the tragedy was. And during their attempted kind of vacation, kind of do a reset, a hole in reality is ripped open, and the consequences of a revolution in a neighboring dimension spill into our world, their world, and from there, it sets off a chain of events by which Brenda, that the young lady there in the yellow, she is going to become her world's first, only, and greatest superhero. So you're going to follow her adventure along the way. Now, comic books need to have action, need to have variety. So what I've done is I said, in the main world of Jupiter, there's only one superhero, and you're going to see her become a superhero. But along the way, she's going to be reading Jack Kirby comics as a touchstone, as a guidepost to guide her in terms of every step of the way as she becomes a hero. So you can see in that page right there, that's the example of the Jack Kirby comic that's in the world of Jupiter, which I have.
I was wondering why the art style changed. Yeah, I was curious. Okay.
So I'm using the Jack Kirby. I'm drawing in Jack Kirby style to create a diegetic experience of, in this world without superheroes, there's superheroes in the comic books, and that's the cultural clue to what she should do to become a superhero, end up in a costume, and things like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it gives me the license to draw like Jack Kirby, which is always fun.
Well, you had the license anyway because you were publishing.
There you go. There you go.
That's awesome. So you did your own lettering, you did everything. So this is what she's reading. So you said Jack Kirby comics. Is it more like Jack Kirby? I imagine isn't an actual. It's like a Kirby-esque character.
It was so in the world of Jupiter. What happened was that, and so this is Jupiter issue 1 here. Can you make me full screen just for a moment?
Of course.
So this is Jupiter issue 1. This is my comic. On the back side, you see Captain Kleinbottle. And you'll notice up here at the top that it's published by Mainline Comics Group. Okay. So this is in the world of Jupiter. Back in the 1950s, Jack Kirby and Joe Simon started Mainline Comics. It was their self-published imprint. They had a distribution deal, and that's where all of these tales were published, is in Mainline Comics. So in the world of Jupiter, they never lost their distributor, and Jack Kirby owned his own publishing. And he became like a Walt Disney type figure, because all of the and this is, this is in my world. I can do what I want.
Yeah.
In his world, all the great ideas that he came up with at Marvel and DC in the 60s and 70s, he did at his main line at the same time. And so he profited from it financially, and he became like a Walt Disney figure. So in the world of Jupiter, later on, we're going to find out that there's like a Kurtzberg world where it's like a Walt Disney world, but it's Jack Kirby. But the key thing is that his biggest character is this Captain Kleinbottle.
Gotcha.
So I get to kind of fabricate these comics that would exist in this world, and then these are clues as to what she should do along the way. There's a kind of like background diegetic elements.
Now, would you ever do a Captain Kleinbottle? And you mentioned Jack Kirby by name then.
Mm-hmm. I refer to him as Jacob Kurtzberg. So his birth name.
Birth name. That's awesome.
Yep. And
is
then
there a legal reason for that, or did you just choose?
So what I have in the legal disclaimer inside of Jupiter that this all takes place in an alternate reality, so nobody has any standing for you've got that this bears no resemblance to people living or dead or whatever. I've got the additional comment that this is an alternate reality. So just to be clear on the legal side.
Okay, I was curious as to how that works with the just in general how the legality of that works.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So this book, so you've got that. So she's learning lessons from comic books based on powers she gets through a dimension. Now, does this dimension have superpowers or superheroes?
That particular hole that ripped up, it's a magical world.
Okay.
And you're going to find out in issue 2. So in issue 1, you see that ship coming through. Issue 1 ends on a cliffhanger, because all great comic books end on a cliffhanger. Mm-hmm. Issue 2 is her family coming to grips with what's happened here, and her realizing the consequences of what happened in terms of her own empowerment. I don't want to give too much away, but one of the tasks I have in issue 2, which I think I'm going to be successful on, is she has to go through DABDA. She's got to go through denial, anger, blame, depression, acceptance. Meanwhile, her parents are basically, they're like overwhelmed by what's happening, and they're quasi hypnotized by what's happening, and so that's gonna create its own plot arcs later. But the key thing is that by the end of issue 2, she knows what she's going to do, because she's gained these new abilities, these new powers. So stay tuned for issue 2. But meanwhile, issue 1 is going to do that initial world building, introduce you to the characters. And it's going to have this basic trigger event that starts this universe down the road towards super heroics. So this main story is like 25 pages out of the 40 pages. The other 15 sub pages, I've got some bits of surrealism, kind of like a Zap Comics surrealism in there, and I've got some other super heroics, and I've got a little bedtime scary story in there as well. So there's a lot of stuff that's in there as palate cleansers, so that while I've got this ongoing story, which is going to take me several years to tell, mm-hmm. there's some bit of instant gratification in every issue of Jupiter. So you've got something just to kind of tide you over, something to enjoy as a one and done.
That's awesome. How many issues are you? Because you said it's a long running story. How many issues do you think you're going to do?
I have behind me a binder, and it's potentially 20 issues. When I got to issue 2, I actually ended up combining 2 issues together, so that 20 issues might end up being 10 issues once it's done, because I want to boil everything down, make it as intense as possible, make it as tight as possible. So it remains to be seen exactly how many issues this main story is going to take, or when it'll be ready to be collected. But for sure, it could be potentially 20 issues.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to reading this and checking it out. And how you said it's completely done, right?
Yep. This so issue 1 is in demand. On Indiegogo, we've got to the $9,100 mark so far.
We could do better than that, guys. Come on, let's get them some backers.
Anyway. Yeah, that is the goal, to get this baby to 10K before I launch issue 2.
Gotcha.
So something I want to mention as a selling point, there was two stretch goals we had, and would you be willing to make me full screen just for a moment?
Of course. No.
So, so earlier I did mention that character, Captain Kleinbottle. Okay, he's the Jack Kirby inspired character. Every backer with this is the first of the two stretch goals, which every backer of Jupiter is going to get this, which is an official Captain Kleinbottle fan club membership card. You'll notice that the dates on the card run backward in time from 2023 to 1953 because he is a time traveler. The other thing is that the fan club is sponsored by a pie company because all the best comic books, or most of the best comic books, had pie ads. So obviously, I had to have a pie company sponsor the comic book. Then on the back of the fan club card is a important reminder to each and every one of you that if you are not part of the problem, you are actually the solution. People you go through life and people are going to accuse you of being the problem. You've hurt nobody. You're doing a good job. You're taking care of your family, having fun with your friends. People think that that's a problem. You're not the problem. So then the other thing we've got here is every backer of Jupiter will get this, which is an official license Legion of Memers.
Memers, that's awesome.
Yep. So I got together with the Legion of Memers and I said, fellas, the first memes were actually drawings on cartons in Italy, and that's where the word cartoon comes from.
Really?
Yep. The word cartoon comes from carton, and what it was basically the first. If you were working class in medieval times, the only access to paper you had was cartons. And so it was just like people would tag a railroad car nowadays. Back in those days, they would do doodles and things like that on cartons, and they'd ship cross country and things like that. And it'd be like spoofs of the king, rude jokes, things like that. So I said, I'm a comic book artist. You guys are memers. We're the same people. And so I said, I want to do something special for the backers of Jupiter. Let's make an official license to meme because, as you know, people are getting put in prison for memes. People, Russia, China, they're not letting people meme. So I said, I want to commemorate Jupiter by having an official license to meme. So that's what you get if you back Jupiter issue 1. It is in demand. And so basically for $13, you get a 40-page full color comic book and you get the Captain Kleinbottle fan club membership and the license to meme. These are plastic PVC, beautiful cards. You can impress people at a party. Impressive, if you're taking a girl out on a first date, you can show her, hey babe, I'm ready to meme. Let's go.
Damn.
There you go. So those are two stretch goals that we hit during the campaign. They're still available to everybody who backs Jupiter.
All right. I got to get this book effective immediately. I've been memeing unlicensed. Seems like Alex has too. Yeah, we got to make sure that we're.
Dude, it's like swimming naked. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do this. If you've got the meme police after you, if you're going through a meme checkpoint, you just need to pull this baby out and you're good to go.
Yeah, I think that, and you get a comic book in addition to that. I mean, this is a great deal. This is a fantastic deal. Yeah, you definitely advertised that a lot. That's a great deal. Oh man. All right, I'm going to make sure. I guess there's a lot of stuff that's not available anymore.
I had some other add-ons like I should probably go back and add the other add-ons. I've got a medallion. I've got a postcard portfolio. I kind of streamlined things when the campaign went in demand. I may have to go back there and add those items.
Gotcha. Well, either way, this looks great. Should we go ahead and play the trailer?
Yeah, let's play the trailer. And the trailer that's on the Indiegogo page, it is a composite of a bunch of little shorts I did. So you can play until there's a kind of a break, and then we can talk.
These animations. So let me know when you want me to pause it. Well, Tom McLeod gave you a quote.
Yeah. So I was a pen pal with I loved Zot back in the 80s. and I exchanged a few postcards with Scott McCloud when he wrote Reinventing Comic Books. That was the book after Unstanding Comics. He cited Jupiter as he called it basically uncategorizable, and he put it with Jim Woodring and Kyle Baker, and I was completely floored. Still, if I died today, that would be one of my career highlights. Is just that Scott McCloud. I got the tip of the hat from Scott McCloud. Fantastic guy. I've got the Sculptor on my bookshelf. I've got Zot Black and White, Zot in color. Deeply honored that he liked Jupiter so much.
That's so cool. And I'm just curious, for the people who are fans of the original, is there a way people can get the original?
The original Jupiter?
Yeah.
You can find them on eBay. They're usually like $10 a piece. What I'll do is when I'm traveling, I will hit up the local comic book shops where I'm traveling. So I've been to New York, Orlando, Las Vegas this year, and just for fun, I'll go look to see if they have any old Jupiters. They never do. So the people that bought it back in the day, you're never going to find it in a back issue bin. You're only going to find it on eBay because people tend to hold on to them.
Do you have the? Are you able to reprint it or no?
What I did was I took the 9 issues of Jupiter and the stories that I thought were like, it didn't make me embarrassed. I made them available as a Comixology book.
Okay.
So if you want to go on Amazon, search for Jupiter issue 0, look for my name, you'll find it. It's like $9. I think it's like 100 pages, 87 pages. It's what I thought was like the best of those 9 issues. So about half the material from those first 9 issues is available as an ebook on Comixology.
Well, clearly Scott McCloud wasn't too embarrassed, but I guess we're our own worst critics, right?
That's
You're
right.
never going to let it all be available?
At some point, maybe. Some point, maybe. But I'm more excited about what I'm doing currently. And all the animation you're seeing here are panels from the comic book that I animated in Adobe Animate. So
Nice.
animate. So if you like the artwork here, it's all on the book.
So is this stuff, the newest stuff, related? Like how heavily related is the old stuff?
There's a few background characters who from the 90s that pop up in this. They're not in the main story. And then there's some surrealist strips that kind of are akin to like Raw Magazine or Zap Comics. They were in the 90s Jupiter and they're in the current Jupiter.
But like again, the main story, the main characters different.
Yeah, that's all brand new. All brand new.
So what made you decide to keep the same name then?
I viewed Jupiter as my like container, like my if I do a think of it as like my band name.
Mm-hmm.
So whether I do a prog rock album or I do a album that's a cover of that's like easy listening, or if I do a hard rock album, the band is Jupiter. So that's kind of the container.
Okay,
that was kind of my approach. That one man anthology comic.
That's awesome. So there we go. Let's continue then. There you go. And then is the next trailer.
Yep, and this is a kind of a view of that alternate reality where that breaks the whole where this kind of sword and sorcery dimension intersects with our normal world. So you get to see what that world looks like.
That's awesome. Let's pull it up. There we go. Next one.
So I wanted to do something that felt like a Twilight Zone. You know, like the intro to the Twilight Zone from the
Yeah.
19. So I
Oh
wanted
my
that,
God, yeah.
I wanted that feel. So and that actually became a strip, a one-page strip in the book. But I just wanted that kind of like that. I wanted that dream, like a dream sequence of things that shouldn't be happening, or just kind of flowing in front of you. Had a lot of fun doing it, and I think it sets a different tone. So I had a great time doing that.
Looks great, man. I really like it. I like the look of it. So are you going to be blending genres a lot then, do you feel? Because I know it's a superhero book with sword and sorcery, sci-fi elements.
That's the fun thing about it being a one-man anthology comic is I can have this story, and then in the back part of the book I can do all these offbeat things, all these little one and dones, little palette cleansers, little dream sequences, and there's a second strip that's going to be recurring, certainly for the first like 8 issues probably, that has nothing to do directly with that main story, but I'm treating that 40 pages as a canvas, and I'm basically I can do whatever I want on the canvas. So some creators have a challenge on the crowdfunding side because they've got 2 different IPs that they love. And like if you're Aaron Lepresti, do people want the Kim Carter, or do they want the Wraith of God, right?
Right.
And so there's always that tug of war, right? But with me, I've got my canvas, and within that, you're always going to get that main story, and then you're going to get all these other.
That's a
other
great way of
secondary
doing
stories.
it. I thought about that because I was like thinking about how you were doing it, and it's like that's such a unique way of everyone will get the Jupiter, and then there's always something else for you. That's such a cool way of going about it. That way you can keep attached in the main story, because I love, for example, I love superheroes, but it's like I'd be lying if I said there aren't other stories that got in me. So to get it in one book, I mean, that's such a good deal.
I could do it. I could do a Western. I could do a 5-page Western story if I wanted to. It's all whatever I want to put in there. So, and the other thing is, if I've got something I'm excited about, that's just a short story. I don't have to say, hey, I can't get to this for 5 years or 3 years, or I've got to get this book out, and then I'll try to get the audience to come along with me on this other book, and maybe they're like, So it's a real challenge when you've got a lot of options, and I think this approach is going to work for me.
Absolutely. I think it's such a cool look. I mean, clearly it already is, but we could get it to that 5-figure mark. Come on.
I think so.
Man, these are so cool. I wish I should have done this. Did you ever do variant covers, or?
I love my readers, and so the variant cover I give them is the flip cover.
Oh, nice. Would you ever do so? Because Captain Klein bottle. First of all, I like it's such a. I don't know. I love that you just switch up the art style. I think it's great. I like that it has an old school comic look. And it's weird because I picture it on newsprint. I'm really excited to see it though on not newsprint.
Well, what I took great pains. I took great pains to approximating the look of the 4-color lithography, and so you can kind of see those dots in there. And I found I created a paper filter. So this is on a 80-pound satin stock, but it's kind of hard to tell here. But I approximate the 1970s print technology. So that helps make the cognitive break between you're in the world of Jupiter and then you're reading a comic book inside the world of Jupiter. And I think a lot of people have tried to do that, approximate the little the lithography dots. I went through a bunch of tests, and I think I cracked it. I think I got it. So I am proud of that.
That's something I never even thought of. But it just shows the dedication, and I love that.
Thanks.
Video game stuff.
Winner. So that one was fun to do because I wanted to do like I wanted to do an offbeat marketing trick where you'd watch it. You weren't sure if it was for a video game, like or whatever, but the deal is the guy is like, I'm not going to spend money on these crap comics. Every time he doesn't buy one of them, it says you saved or whatever. So,
oh, okay.
So he's like, and if you look at we've watched again later on the bottom, it says, it'll say like reboot. Let's see. Let's go to the start there. It'll be like death gimmick and muddy stiff. Relaunch.
Another relaunch.
It's like,
oh, that's good.
Death gimmick.
Yeah.
Don't buy it. Just and at the bottom, it's like every time he scores, it's like you save $5. Line-wide event.
Love that. Death gimmick. Yeah, I guess I'll have to do that. I think I'm Zap Phenomenal. You shut your mouth. He would never Zap Phenomenal because he knows it's a good value book. But so is Jupiter. Man, I'm curious. I mean, the price is great. And again, 2 stories, right? We got 2 stories. Again, your certificate, you guys get to be able to meme. I mean, I've been doing it wrong this whole time.
The whole time.
And now I have the chance. And now you guys can too. What did you find was the most? How long did this book take you to make, by the way?
Gosh, I think it was about 15 months. But I had to build the color palettes and I had to build a lot of the backgrounds. Issue 2, I think when it's all said and done, I'll be able to finish it in 12 months. So I expect that every issue, my goal is to be able to do a new issue every year and then get to the point where I can do 2 a year. And then when I retire, I'll be able to do like 3 or 4 a year. But I had to do like a lot of traveling for my job this year. And I actually technically got a promotion last summer. So it's been, I haven't had as much time to work on it as I wanted to. But yeah, I'm halfway through issue 2, which I really didn't start working on until like October of last year. So it's plugging along.
Yeah, that's so cool. Vaughn, be honest, you've been drinking illegally once. I've been drinking legally, first of all, and second of all, can you believe these people?
And then so again, the comic book is in demand. Shipping and handling is $5. I typically ship the book out the following day. Okay, so we've got a scoundrel in the chat. We've got a troublemaker who's here to. Yeah,
great book. Yeah, I saw Arvid was recommending this book highly, by the way.
So Hojo, I want you to know that Vaughn is part of the Cool Ranch Nation. So you can take your potato chips. Yeah, you can take your potato chips and hike. You can go hitchhiking with your potato chips, Hojo. Vaughn is a Cool Ranch man.
Yeah, Cool I do Ranch. Like Cool Ranch. I think it's good.
There you go.
We're not. Are we not talking? Do you think Cool Ranch is better than Red? Doritos?
Yeah, I mean they're both good. Hojo
What is
Hojo is
his favorite?
well, so Hojo has he has fantastic taste in comics, and he's a fantastic creator, but he has got terrible taste in chips.
Ugh,
And he decided
unforgivable.
to shoot his mouth off several months ago and trash talk Cool Ranch, and
What the hell? All right,
the
I'm
internet's not going to
anti-Hojo,
let him
man.
forget. Yeah, internet's not going to let him forget. So
I
you can
supported Hojo, but I can't anymore. Honestly.
no you so Hojo is our friend. We just have to fix him with regards to his taste in chips. We want to change nothing about Hojo. We want to change nothing about the mythicals, but we got to put him in his place.
You can't be anti Cool Ranch. Like it's good chips.
I don't even want to tell you what he was saying. It was hard. It was hard to watch. It's hard to see. He was just
Hojo,
yeah.
He's been on my show and everything, and then he has the nerve to come in here.
Yeah.
The nerve. Kettle corn's good. I don't have anything against kettle corn. What do you think? Popcorn or kettle corn? Which is better?
Oh, popcorn's better than kettle corn.
I would say popcorn is, but on occasion I'll do kettle corn. But if you'd ask me what's better on a regular basis, not health, of course, is not a factor in this. Popcorn. I mean, I would say so.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing but beats fresh theater popcorn. And then but kettle corn, at some point you get the sandpaper on the roof of your mouth. You get some point you get you scrape up your mouth too much. It's like eating Captain Crunch. Too much Captain Crunch.
Captain Crunch. Captain Crunch is good. Captain Crunch is my favorite cereal. You better not be saying anything bad about Captain Crunch.
Oh no.
No, of course. Hojo, do you like Captain Crunch? I wonder if he likes Captain Crunch.
He's probably a Crunchberry guy.
Popcorn with real butter is good, but crack cocaine is I'm not going to agree with that.
Disavow.
Disavow. Everyone, make sure you 235 backers. Man, that's great. That's great. Everyone this book looks great. Everyone make sure you check it out. I love the ads too. So you learned animation or?
Yeah, I taught myself. I taught myself Adobe Animate.
Yeah,
it was You got you got YouTube. You got the manual. I figured it out. It was hard. It was anyone who wants to tackle Adobe Animate, just give yourself a couple weekends with no interruptions, and the first day you're going to want to bash your brains in, but you just keep chipping away at it, and eventually you get it figured out, and then next thing you know, you're flying. So yeah, I had a great time learning that. Great time learning it.
This is outrageous.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I was paying attention to you, but sometimes he just said something so blasphemous that I had to, and I don't want to give him attention, obviously. For this.
Yeah, he tends to double down. He tends to double down and start throwing bombs. And I don't think less of him because of it, but I think I understand him better the more he misbehaves.
You actually agree with him on blue cheese? Dude, come on. See, he's pro Captain Crunch though, so I do respect that.
That's good.
But so is everyone. So you know what I mean? It's like saying that like breathing is good. It's like, okay, of course.
We're pro breathing here, people.
Yeah, we're pro stunning and brave. So Jason, the best places. So it's obviously here. It's on Fund My Comic. I know we're gonna focus on Indiegogo because we want to get it to 10K.
Yeah, we are so close to hitting that magical 5 figures where I get new readers who are going to also want issue 2, and I get bragging rights that I hit 5 figures.
Which those bragging rights are good, man. It feels good to say I hit anything over than 9K. You know?
Yeah, it's good, especially during thame times.
Yeah,
these times where people are concerned about being able to buy eggs and put gas in their car. So yeah, I am honored, and I am honored by every backer, and I'm excited by when people hit me up afterward and like, dude, this was great. What I really like is the people that tell me, hey, I read it a second time.
Yeah,
I love that, and I want to make a book that's worthy of the bookshelf, and I love making a book where you read it, it's great, you set it aside, and then you're walking and you see it and I got to pick that up and flip through it again and kind of relive some of it. So I am trying my best to make work that will stand the test of time. So I hope people check it out and jump on board and join me for this ride.
And then RJ says you can't put a price on bragging rights. Absolutely not. No, it's great. It is so good. Once you cross, I mean, every K, it's just like every K is like a good, haha, I made this. It really does. It does feel good. And I think Jason deserves that. I think Jason deserves that 10K bragging rights. So if nothing else, I mean, there's valid reasons, guys. So make sure you get in there, get this book. Don't be a chump. All right. You want this book. So make sure you get it. It's our 80th episode. Help make me look good on my end too, guys. You make that's the important. It's all about me. I combine
Hojo.
cereals.
It's all about you. It's all about Hojo.
No, I'm this. Hang on. Now this is dangerous.
I know. He's a cultured man. He's a well-read man. He's a creative man, but there's a bit of hillbilly in him.
Combining cereal. I mean, are we okay with that?
I guess as long as he's not doing it to the kids. I mean, if he's just like at the middle, 11 o'clock at night, Hojo's been writing Mythicals number 3. He's hungry, he goes down to the kitchen. There's like only a little bit left of 2 cereals. He mixes it. No harm done. But if he's pre-mixing that and presenting to the kids, not good. Not good.
No, not good at all. Bad. Very bad. That is disturbing. But I mean, I've tried stuff like that from time to time, but I think. All right, we'll see. Well, I'm not convinced personally, but we'll have to try. But Jupiter is on the way to 10K. I can say call CPS. I can say I did my part. Jason, where's the best place everyone can find you?
I'm most active on Twitter. In fact, I think the only social media that I'm active on is Twitter or X. You can find me there. I often tweet out other creators, even Hojo.
Yeah, you've been great. You've been great with promoting my stuff.
Yep. And then obviously Jupiter issue 1 is in demand on Indiegogo. And then Fridays, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. I'm on the Friday nights. Sometimes Hojo's on there as well, giving his bad takes on chips. But yeah, Twitter's where I'm most active. Thank goodness Elon Musk bought it and liberated it.
He does need to stop suppressing people. I understand people sharing links, but it's like, all the porn bots can get away with whatever, and then I can't share my campaign link too much or else I get problems. Ridiculous. It's unfair.
It is.
But, it's okay. I still prefer that, I suppose. The old. I mean, Twitter is better, I guess, now. Yeah. Although I think X is a stupid name.
Yeah, it's his money. I did see something funny. Someone pointed out that he moved the headquarters for X to Texas, and he was moving SpaceX to Texas. So nobody thought to say all my exes live in Texas. But I think that's pretty good.
That was good. I'm surprised it took someone that long.
That's right.
Make that joke, unless someone else with a smaller following made it, and then it was stolen. Good. But anyway, thank you guys. No, what were you gonna say?
All the newspaper headlines that they could have said that, and none of them. None of them did.
Missed opportunity. They lack real creatives like us.
They do.
What the problem is. In other words, you guys should be paying us to do your job.
That's right.
You need to upgrade. All right, so everyone, check out Jupiter. I'm gonna play the trailer for my book as we head out, aka Captain Klein Bottle. So make sure you check it out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Tune in next time on my channel. I don't know what I'm going to be doing, but absolutely. And Legion of Memers as we head out. You know you want it. Let's see you guys next time. When the whole world was dragged into World War III, brave men like my father fought on the front lines, and they weren't alone. That was 20 years ago. Now it's up to us to carry on their legacy. And every so often, the earth from which we come gives way for something new, something greater to be born. And with them, even greater threats to face. Bring it on! Phenomenova. For you, Dad. For you.